This is another match that you might find familiar if you're a viewer of my live streams because it came from my most recent live stream. And so, if you've already seen it, you know what's going to happen. But if you haven't, then this match features the best series of blind shots that I've ever taken in World of Warships Legends. There's more than one, and they happen a little bit later on. So, until we get there, we've got some other things to dig into. Number one, we've spawned on the Charlie flank. So, of course, we're going to be playing that flank. I've seen a lot lately, and really all throughout the game's lifetime, plenty of examples of people spawning on flanks and then abandoning them for seemingly no reason. But we happen to be playing the Tier 7 Premium French battleship Flandre, or maybe Freemium, I guess. It is available for global XP, so you could get it today if you wanted to for 750k. And look at that. It has some decent AA. It takes down the Pobita's full squadron. He drops some torpedoes in the water, but we're able to slow down and avoid all of those. Bit lucky, I suppose. And you know the old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. That is a motto that the Pobita is clearly going to live by because he's not done with us. You can see his torpedo bombers quickly approaching once more. And this time he's going to aim a little bit better and line up his drop. He's going to be prepared for my speedy juking and whatnot. Meanwhile, we've got two battleships out there in the distance, not quite spotted yet. There they are, at least one of them. Both are Bismarcks, and they are pushing together around that island. So they're going to take themselves out of the match for a few moments as the Pobita hits us with his second torpedo salvo and lands every single one. Good for him. That takes off almost 20,000 damage from us. And that's, well, it feels great. Let's just put it that way. So there's some battleships and whatnot out there in the center. I suppose we could shoot at them, but we're aware that the cap has an enemy destroyer inside of it, which is a Z-23. He did have a clear shot for torpedoes on us a moment ago, so we don't want to be sailing in a straight line just right at his last known direction. And we were holding our fire in hopes that the friendly DD would spot the Z-23 and we would have shots on him, but we don't because he's behind an island, so instead we shoot at one of the Bismarcks who's just rejoined the battle. Results are not great. Flandre's main battery is not always the most consistent, but now we have a clear view of the Z-23 and our secondaries begin to open up. They're not necessarily the most effective at killing DDs because there's a lot of 90mm secondaries on this thing, and those cannot penetrate any armor at this tier, so they're not actually going to damage that Z-23. He manages to escape for a moment, and we narrowly avoid some torpedoes by radically changing our course. Those were pretty well aimed. They would have hit us otherwise, I think, and they came from the Błyskawica, or the biscuit, as some former content creators of this game used to call it. There is one in this match, and it's going to feature prominently a little bit later on. But for now, we've got the two Bismarcks pushing in. The Z-23, I think, is still inside of the cap. Our friendly DD has gone down, probably got caught by that guy's sonar. And so, for the moment, we're not going to be able to push in to this flank, or this cap, rather. There's two Bismarcks there. There's at least one destroyer in there, probably two. If we push in, we're going to get melted by those Bismarck secondaries. They're going to chunk us with their main guns, and then we're going to take torpedoes from the destroyers. So we're going to sink if we push in. Yes, there are two destroyers there, just as I thought. Once again, we're going to have to dodge some torps, or maybe not. They run out of juice before they're able to make contact, and they did come from the Błyskawica. Meanwhile, the Bismarcks are both pushing in, but we have set ourselves up for success. Why? Because we have assumed a kiting position. Basically, the way this game works, if you are kiting away from the enemy and they are pushing into you, they are always at a disadvantage. I can get all of my main battery on target versus these Bismarcks. It's not gonna do a whole ton of damage to them unless I can really dial all the shells into the superstructure, which may or may not occur. depending on how RNGesus feels. So it's going to take a while, but we'll be able to chip away at their superstructure with our full firepower, and then we'll be able to hit them with our secondaries. Meanwhile, they can really only hit us with their front 2 turrets for a total of 4 guns, and they can also farm us with their secondaries, which will penetrate the 32mm armor and do damage. But as you can see, they're less interested in shooting at me for some reason than they are the battleship over on the other side. I guess to be fair, that battleship does have their broadside. I'm sort of the anvil to that guy's hammer. And one Bismarck goes down, the other one decides that he is in fact going to turn toward the position of that last battleship who is sunk. Well, I guess that explains why they were focused so hard on that guy. They managed to sink him. In any case, one Bismarck left. We're going to have to sink him and ideally turn back in, maybe to deal with the destroyers once we don't have a battleship to worry about. Deploying the last consumable for the secondary booster. Hopefully that'll increase the accuracy and allow us to get fires. That's the real value in the Flandres secondaries. They don't offer a whole ton of penetration damage like the Bismarcks would with its German pen, but they offer a very good fire chance, and they tend to light a lot of fires, as you just saw there. I think Bismarck is on DCP, but now we've got another fire burning. I feel like it's a little bit hard to tell with that camo, with everything being purple, including the fires, but, you know, he's burning away. And the friendly CV, which I think is also a Pobita, manages to land a full torp salvo on him, which is good. The Bismarck is pushing in. I can't imagine he doesn't see the friendly CV right now. His secondaries appear to be shooting at it, but he's tunnel visioned on us, which is good for the CV and not the worst thing in the world for me. I've got enough HP to handle it, and Bismarck goes down for our second kill of the game, netting us 2 kill ribbons. Quite nice. We're going to run into the map border and use it to get turned around. Now we can push more toward the cap. It's not a great idea necessarily to be pushing into enemy destroyers, but when there's no battleships or other capital ships to worry about in order to get your broadside or anything like that, then it's not quite as dangerous. We're free to maneuver, we can change our course and speed radically without having to worry about any artillery hitting our citadel, and so we can dodge the torpedoes. Plus, we've got this CV over here. He's spotted the Błyskawica on the map, and we're going to try something right now that I don't always do, but we know exactly where that DD is thanks to the CV minimap spotting. We can't actually see him on our screen yet. I was putting on the engine boost to see if I could catch him, but he goes dark on the minimap, so we just decide to take a shot at where we think he is, and one hit. One hit for 1 overpen. Not exactly the best thing in the world, but what is this Błyskawica doing? He's spotted once more by the CV, at least momentarily, but he's smoking up. And the thing about smoke screens is you can see the puffs develop. You see how one appears right there in front of us? That's because Błyskawica is right there. He's sailed past that island. We know he's there. And so we take another shot, and that's enough to kill him. We actually hit him with the second blind shot and sink him for our 3rd kill of the game. And that just comes down to having played this game for 5 years and seeing the position of the Błyskawica on the minimap. Now, to be fair, it is a lot easier to do blind fires on the PC version of this game, World of Warships, and that's primarily because there's a little reticle on the minimap. It's like a dot on that line that extends from your ship. You see how you have 2 lines extending. One goes from your bow forward to show the direction you're sailing in. The other one is the line that your main guns are aiming down. On PC, there's a little circle on that line that shows the aiming point. So it's a minimap reticle. If we had something like that, blind firing would be a lot easier. But in this game, it's 100% purely visual. So that was mostly sort of a guess in space. I didn't quite know how far away the Błyskawica was. I just knew the smoke screen appeared around the corner of the island, and the Błyskawica had to be in it. So take a shot, get lucky with a little bit of dispersion, catching the guy with an overpen, take him out. And now that just leaves the enemy CV. This was a little bit of a blowout. Normally, I don't really like to show those on YouTube, but sometimes that's what you get. And I think it was worth at least seeing those two blind salvos. I guess the lesson to draw from that, if there is one, is just take the shot if you can. You'll miss every shot you don't take, as that old cliche saying goes. So there's nothing really to lose there and everything to gain. And now, after the Pobita hit me for 20k in the beginning of the game and then completely ignored me, which I appreciate for the rest of the match, well, I'm still a little bit salty about getting hit for that 20k, and frankly, I find nothing is more satisfying. There is no more satisfying way to end a match than to come up against the enemy CV completely defenseless, almost at full health with nothing else around to shoot it. A wonderful damage pinata for us to farm more HP and make our damage done look a little bit more impressive than it did to begin with. The Citadel into the Pobita is quite nice. The secondaries are even able to pen his pretty much non-existent armor, albeit I think those are the larger secondaries and not the smaller ones. We're able to net the high caliber metal thanks to this Pobita, and before the friendly CV torpedoes him, we take him down with a Citadel right through the nose, sealing our vengeance. It does feel good, I must say. So we end the battle with a little bit more impressive 141,000 damage done, 2,700 HP. And, well, we don't get any medals for it, but I think that was a pretty good blind shot on my part. It was certainly fun to see the reactions in the chat. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, leave a comment, consider subscribing, give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.